The company in charge of the damaged Fukushima power plant on Japan's Pacific coast is facing another water problem. Workers are rushing to transfer tainted rainwater to underground storage pools as another powerful typhoon bears down on the Japanese archipelago. Typhoon Francisco is expected to hit the country's main island on the weekend. Officials from Tokyo Electric Power Company have received permission from the Nuclear Regulation Authority to use several underground pools. They have a storage capacity of about 9,000 tons. Managers stopped using several of the pools in April after leaks were discovered, but they now say they have no other option but to use 3 of the other pools. The company has been storing tainted rainwater in hundreds of above-ground tanks at the plant and in the basement in a turbine building, but they are now almost all full.
Nuclear regulators in Japan are criticizing a recent report by the operator of the crippled Fukushima Daiichi plant. Managers of Tokyo Electric Power Company submitted the document last week outlining the safety measures in place at their nuclear facilities. Members of the Nuclear Regulation Authority met in Tokyo to discuss the report. It details the measures TEPCO is taking to prevent radioactive water leaks and other problems at Fukushima Daiichi. One authority member called the report unconvincing and expressed doubts about whether the utility would be able to deal with other challenges that may arise in the future. Another member said if there's no problem at the Kashiwazaki-Kariwa plant on the Sea of Japan coast, as TEPCO says, the utility should reassign more workers from there to Fukushima Daiichi. TEPCO managers said in the report they can safely manage 2 reactors at Kashiwazaki-Kariwa. They've applied for permission to restart the units. The chairman of the Nuclear Regulation Authority, Shunichi Tanaka, says TEPCO should be questioned thoroughly. He plans to hold a meeting with the utility's president soon.
Officials at Japan's Science Ministry have put forward a plan to radically reduce the radioactivity of waste from nuclear plants. They told a panel of experts how they intend to slash the length of time the waste remains dangerous from tens of thousands of years to hundreds of years. The experts backed the proposal. The plan involves extracting long-lasting radioactive substances from spent nuclear fuel. The officials say that by using neutrons created in particle accelerators, the dangers posed by the waste can be dramatically reduced. They say that if the plan succeeds, it will also cut the required disposal space to about 100th of current estimates. Now, the Japanese government is currently planning to bury toxic waste from the nuclear meltdowns in Fukushima deep underground, but it can't settle on a location because of community opposition over safety concerns.
Japan's chefs could soon find their work endorsed by the United Nations. Members of a UNESCO committee have recommended that Japan's culinary arts be designated an intangible cultural heritage asset. UNESCO is expected to endorse the decision in December. Japan's Cultural Affairs Agency proposed adding the country's food culture to the list of heritage assets. Agency officials said the recipes, tableware, and other culinary arts are a fundamental part of Japanese culture. The officials say they hope UNESCO recognition will be a boost for businesses hit by concerns about food safety since the 2011 nuclear accident. UNESCO currently recognizes 4 food cultures: French, Turkish, Mexican, and Mediterranean.
This week that the radiation cleanup near the Fukushima nuclear plant is way behind schedule. 3 reactors melted down after the earthquake and tsunami in 2011. Those evacuated hope to be home by next March, but now their return may be years away. Seth Doan went to Fukushima.
Bags filled with radioactive soil line roadways more than 10 miles from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant. Tens of thousands of workers have been hired to scrape up the top layer of contaminated earth. But this former worker told us it was a futile task. We decontaminate around a house, he told us, but if it rained, more contaminated earth from outside that perimeter would just pour right in. He did not want us to show his face because he feared he would not find work again. You can't see or smell the radiation, he told us. At first you tend to be careful about keeping your protective gear on, but after a while we became lax and forgot about what a high-risk environment we were working in. Then he learned the subcontractor that hired him was pocketing the government hazard pay he was supposed to receive. He was being paid $15 an hour, but should have made $25. Japan's prime minister has tried to project a positive image of life returning to normal. He even ate fish from Fukushima's waters. But it has not persuaded Satoshi Kamata. He is one of 146,000 nuclear refugees. His home is still unsafe to live in, and he couldn't keep his job. Now he runs a small bar that's a hangout for decontamination workers.
You say you're hearing a very different story about the cleanup. What are you hearing specifically?
Basically, they can't recruit enough people, he said, so that's why they're plagued by delays. Still, the government insists that residents like Kamata will be resettled within 2.5 years. I'd like to say to those elite government guys, why don't you go try living in my town in 2.5 years, he told us. Tons of contaminated soil is stored temporarily in huge lots. Many towns here don't want it, so the waste, just like the residents, sits in limbo. Seth Doan, CBS News, Fukushima, Japan.
It won't come as a shock, 'cause I never believed their lies. When the bombs fall, then they could fall any time. They're gonna end it all for a third of mankind. When the bombs fall, don't have the one put over your eyes. When the bombs fall, you wonder how you've been so blind. When the bombs fall, and if they fall on me, my dear,
In 6 years, the Pacific Ocean is not going to have no life. The picture you're looking at is based upon 280-day model, and we're already 2.5 years or more into this. But they never took into account, they just took into account a few of the big original spills, came up with this model that you're looking at. And so what I'm telling you now, and what you know, and what you can go and research, and just go check everything yourself, is that with 600 tons or 300 tons, whatever, every day going into the ocean is not in the model. And so that means that model is wrong by about 1,800 times, roughly, or more, certainly. That, see, a lot of this, you got rain coming down on Fukushima, all that water is coming out. You got snow, all that water has to come out. You have underwater aquifers, all that water is coming out. It has to run around the cores. It has to run past all these hot rods, right? So if I took one of those rods and I put it in a lake, say New York or something, where the water supply, they could never use it ever again. So imagine, I'm not laughing, but imagine 600,000 of these rods. Imagine 3 melted cores. Imagine building 4 with 5 full pools still there, and the building is tipping over because they sprayed so much water the foundation has become liquefied. The ground all around that entire site, because the entire site is full of rods, so they have to spray that entire site. And that water is the water they're trying to catch and pump into tanks, but you can't sustain it. And so when you get big rains, for instance, you're going to get massive spills, not counting what's actually all that rain is washing out. And when you go down to the shoreline, the tsunami destroyed all the pumps, and that all the pump housings, the basements are all full of radioactive water. The tunnels all around this place are full of radioactive water. You can't access anything. And in less than 6 years, because of the way the currents flow, the entire Pacific Ocean. Now,
a Japanese beverage firm has introduced a hot soda. A Japanese beverage firm has introduced a hot soda. It's hoping to lift demand for carbonated drinks that do decline when the chilly season starts to set in. Coca-Cola Japan held a promotional event for its new hot ginger ale. Company executives say they've come up with a way to retain the carbonation in the heated drink. They also say the fizzy liquid won't gush out when the can is opened.
The taste is not weird. It's quite good.
The company hopes that the hot ginger ale will help to boost demand in the winter. Now, beverage makers say winter sales of carbonated drinks often end up at about half the levels of summer. Another major beverage maker, Kirin Beverage, is also to market its hot soda soon.